Hi boys and girls, I'm back with another edition of Books and Cooks. And today, I have a super special treat for you. You know it's Art Week at Anna Reynolds, and Mrs. Schumacher has posted a lot of fun art activities and books that she's read for you to go online and watch. Well, I decided that I had to do a book that had to do with the theme of Art Week. And I started thinking, well, what book should I pick? And then I remembered, oh yeah, Bill Thomson's wordless picture books, because he's an artist, he's an illustrator. He draws all of his books, and his pictures tell the stories. So, I forgot how many of you know this, but Mr. Thomson is a friend of mine. I run with his wife Diane lots of mornings, and we both live in the same town as Southington. So I gave him a call and I said, would you do me a super big favor and read your book Chalk to my friends at Anna Reynolds this week? And he agreed to do it. So I ran by his house with my car. Well, I didn't run, I drove by, and I dropped off my magic chalk that he once used to inspire him to write this book. So sit back and relax and enjoy author-illustrator Bill Thomson reading his book Chalk to you. And when it's over, I will share some food art with you. Okay, see you in a little bit. Enjoy the story.
Hi, my name is Bill Thomson, and I'm the author and illustrator of this book, Chalk. And this video is for my friend Mrs. Gagliardi and her wonderful students at Anna Reynolds Elementary School, a school that I visited before and had a lot of fun and made a lot of new friends. As you can see, Mrs. Gagliardi is a wonderful artist. I'm an illustrator, so I make my art with pencils and paintbrushes. Mrs. Gagliardi makes her art in the kitchen, and you can see how beautiful these pieces of chalk are, edible chalk. And I would like to show you my book, Chalk. And Mrs. Gagliardi inspires me with her cooking because sometimes she makes me these wonderful chalk desserts and I eat them. And one time she even gave me one, and it gave me an idea to do a children's book. And it was this book, Chalk. She gave me, I was struggling for an idea for a children's book. And then she came over, her and my wife run together, and she came over and she gave my wife a big bag of treats, and one of them was a chalk. And I couldn't think of an idea, and I took a bite of one of her things, and it was like a piece of magic. And I bit into it, and it tasted wonderful, and suddenly I got an idea for this children's book. So let me share it with you now. Chalk by Bill Thomson. And here's the dedication page. And this book is dedicated to my sons. It says, this book is dedicated with love to the miracles in my life, my wondrous sons, Billy, Nick, and Ethan. And what you can tell about this very first page, the story actually begins here because you can start to see raindrops hitting the water. So if you imagine in your head, they make a sound that goes plip, plop, plip, plop. And this book has no words because I want smart kids like you to look at the pictures and tell your own stories. And here's the title page, so you can see Chalk by Bill Thomson. And now we learn a little bit more about the story because we see a dinosaur, and this dinosaur has something in its mouth. Can you see what's in his mouth? It's a magic bag with stars and moons on it, right? And then our story continues, and we see some kids out walking. And it's a rainy day, and they're walking, and they've got all of the rain gear on, and you can see them walking in the rain. And when I was a kid, I always hated rainy days, because on rainy days, you'd go outside, and you'd get all soaking wet and cold and muddy, and you just couldn't play outside like you could on sunny days. I always like sunny days the best. I'll bet you those kids feel the same way. So they're walking up, and they see this dinosaur ride with this bag hanging out of his mouth. Now, what would you do if you were walking through a park and you saw a dinosaur ride with a bag hanging out of its mouth? I wonder. Well, what they do is they took the bag off and they looked inside, and what was inside the bag? Chalk. So a little girl picks up a piece of chalk. She picks up a yellow piece, and you can see there's a yellow outline around the border, just like this yellow piece of chalk. And she picks up her chalk and she starts to draw something. Can you see what she draws? She draws the sun, probably because she wishes it was sunny outside. And what do you think's going to happen next? Well, her chalk drawing started to glow and rose up into the sky. And it was so bright that the kids had to cover their eyes. And it went up and up and up until it went way up high in the sky. And then the clouds parted and it became a beautiful sunny day. Well, what would you think if something you drew actually came to life? Wouldn't that be amazing? So now the kids know that this chalk is special. So another girl picks up a piece and she picks up an orange piece, like this one. And can you see what she starts drawing? She starts drawing butterflies, and look what's happening behind her to her drawings. Little butterflies are starting to pop up until suddenly the kids are standing in a whole big field of butterflies. And then a little boy takes out another piece, and you can tell he's up to no good by the expression on his face. And he picks up a green piece like this, and he goes, I wonder what else this chalk can do. And he starts drawing something, and you can see he's up to no good by the expression on his face. And what do you think he drew? Can you guess what he drew? He drew a dinosaur, a big, scaly, scary, terrifying dinosaur. So the kids started screaming, ah! And they took off running. And they ran over to the playground, and they did exactly what I would do, and they climbed into the slide to hide. So now they're in the plastic slide, and they can't see the dinosaur, and the dinosaur can't hear them, but you know what? They can probably hear him. And imagine you're hiding in the slide, and you're looking around, and you hear boom, 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 as that dinosaur starts to walk closer and closer. And look, there's the little boy looking up, and the dinosaur's looking down. You can see another girl's hiding over here, another girl's hiding up at the top of the slide. And could you imagine if you were in the slide and you were looking out, how scary that would be? What do you think they should do? What would you do? Well, let's find out. Oh, so let me show you something. Let me go back a couple of pages to this page. And on this page, as the artist, I did something kind of sneaky. I had this little boy holding a blue piece of chalk, and you might not have even noticed that because it's the same color as the sky. So that little boy took out his blue piece of chalk and he started drawing something. And what do you think he drew? He drew a cloud and raindrops. And then suddenly they started hearing a sound coming from outside, hitting the top of the plastic slide. And it went plip, plop, the sound of raindrops falling. And that dinosaur looked up and he said, uh-oh. And that dinosaur probably wasn't very happy. That dinosaur doesn't like rain. And do you know why he doesn't like rain? What's that dinosaur made out of? He's made out of chalk. What do you think is going to happen when he gets wet? Can you guess? I'm melting. You can see the dinosaur starts melting into a big green puddle of dinosaur chalk. And eventually he completely melts away, and the kids walk over and they think, whew, we were lucky. That magical chalk could have really got us hurt. So they decide they've had enough fun drawing with the magic chalk, and they hang the bag back on top of the dinosaur. And then at the very end, they're walking away, and you can see the little boy's looking back, and he's making sure that nothing else is coming. And on the very last page of the book, we've just got the raindrop scene again, and there's a butterfly left over because there's a little bit of the magic left over. Just like Mrs. Gagliardi's chalk bakery cookies are magical, my book is about magic too. So I hope that you guys have fun baking with Mrs. Gagliardi and enjoying the rest of your school year. It was fun sharing my book with you. Bye.
So did you enjoy that story by Mr. Thomson and his the book Chalk. Isn't that amazing how he told that story with no words and all with pictures? And I love how he talked to you and said, Mrs. Gagliardi is a food artist, right? I don't draw with art, but I use food to create art. And I want you to think back to some of those books and cooks I've shared with you already. Pancakes, and we did the pancake art. The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and we made the butterflies out of fruit. That was art. And the mud cake story, where we made the mud pies using the cookies and the pudding. That was art. And so I thought I would stick with the theme of food art. That's a real job, you know. Some of you may want to grow up someday and become food artists and work for a magazine. And a lot of times when you see those pictures in a magazine, you might see a beautiful ice cream cone or something. It's really not made out of ice cream, because if they were making an ice cream cone and they were trying to photograph it to look perfect, by the time they got the shot, all the ice cream would have melted. So lots of times they use like mashed potatoes for their scoops of ice cream. And remember, I did that in James O'Rourke in The Big Potato. I showed you how to use mashed potatoes to make an ice cream cone. So some of you may aspire to be a food artist someday. So why don't I just show you today some ideas, and you can always go online and Google food art and Google food art made with fruit, food art made with vegetables, and you'll see some great ideas. And I want you all to be creative food artists this week in honor of Art Week. All right, let me show you. So obviously you saw that art, the chalk that I made for Mr. Thomson. So my chalk is edible, which means you can eat it. And if you were wondering how I made my amazing chalk for Mr. Thomson, mine look like little crayons, don't they? Look at those. They're like, let me see if I can actually move this camera down just a bit. So there's my chalk, and they actually look like little crayons, but yeah, mine are edible. You know what mine are made of? Chocolate and pretzels. Who doesn't love chocolate covered pretzels, right? So you can take, let me show you how to do it. All right, so to make my chalk, edible chalk, you need to start with all those colors of chocolate again. And remember, I'm telling you, go and buy these candy melts. Now the stores are opening next week, so go to Joann Fabrics or get one person in your family to go out, or AC Morris is where they sell these, and buy like one bag of each color. There's gonna be red and purple and yellow and blue and orange and white and chocolate, brown and white, and buy a couple of bags of the colors you like and store those in your pantry, because we use those a lot, especially when we're making food art, okay? So you might wanna do that, and if you do, you will be able to make chalk. Now, yours don't have to look exactly like mine. I'll show you that in a minute. But if you want to be like super artistic and you want them to come out looking perfect, that's when you need to start with a mold. Now, I probably have over 100 molds in my back room of all different things. I have chocolate covered Oreo molds. I have molds that are heart shaped and diamond shaped, and football molds and soccer molds, you name it, I can make it out of chocolate. So what I do to make edible chalk is I start with a pretzel rod, all right? So you can start with a giant pretzel rod like this, but if you're going to use a mold like this, you're going to need to like snap the pretzel and get it in there, okay? So you fill your 4 molds with a piece of pretzel, and then you take any color chocolate that you like. Let's use red because it's such a bright, fancy color. And remember, you get it melted in the microwave or in a double boiler. If it's not super duper runny, you take a little bit of vegetable oil and you pour like a little teaspoon in at a time, and you just stir it until it's super runny, because some of the colored chocolates are a little bit thicker than others after they melt. Like this one's perfect, this orange one. All right, maybe let's make a piece of orange chalk. Look at that. It's like super perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna walk you through it real fast. So you put your pretzel rod in the mold. It's really easy when you have a mold to make fancy chocolates because the mold holds the shape for you. I mean, what is easier than that? And that's all you do, and then you tap it and you make sure your pretzel's in there. And then you put it in the freezer or refrigerator for a little while and it ends up hardening, and then you turn it over, and when you pop it out, it looks like that. And there's my pretzel on the back. So if you were to eat this whole thing, you're actually eating like a chocolate covered pretzel, okay? So that's one way to make it. But let's say you're a kid that doesn't have a mold, but you still wanna make it. Let me show you something. So this is chalk, right? Look at it, it says it. It's like the name of our book right in the front. That you would go outside and draw with. Hey, maybe if you don't want to be a food artist, go outside and be an artist on the driveway, kind of like Mr. Thompson. And look at this chalk. Look, it's just like a cylinder shape, right? So if you have pretzel rods, and it's great if they're broken because they don't have to be that long. They could be all different sizes of chalk. You could then just take, well, let's use the red this time, okay? And I'm gonna use my dish. Now this is where you would want to have like a piece of foil or a piece of wax paper that you wanna work on, or a dish or something. Because when you're done making this, you're gonna put this in the freezer. So let's say you're gonna make chalk out of this, all right? So then all you have to do is just dip it like this. And if your container is taller and the whole thing dips in, great. And if it doesn't, no big deal, okay? And then I take my little tongs and I get the other end dipped in, okay? And then I would shake it off. And normally I would have like a piece of wax paper, but we'll just put it on this plate, okay? And we're gonna let that harden or dry. And when it does, it ends up, look, I even sprinkled these. It ends up coming out like this, and it just looks like pieces of chalk, right? So how cool is that? It's really more of the pretzel rod and a little less chocolate. I actually think these taste a little better than the other ones that I showed you because there's more chocolate on those, but it depends what you like. And then what would be super neat, you just go to the dollar store, that's where they sell this chalk. Say someone's having a birthday party, get them Mr. Thompson's book chalk, buy them some chalk that they can go and be an artist out on their driveway with. Let me put that back together for you. And then make your own edible chalk, just like I did. Remember, put it in the freezer, it'll come out, and then you put it in a little baggie, tie it with a pretty bow, tie it to the chalk, put it with the book, and look at that. You got a great gift. And you became a food artist, and the person could become a regular artist like Mr. Thompson. So that's how to make edible chalk. It's really just chocolate-covered pretzels. And if you want, and you're like, I don't want to make chalk, I just want to make chocolate-covered pretzels, because yum, who doesn't love that? Just get your pretzel rods, and this time I only dipped it like up to this part, right? And I put some sprinkles on it, and then I put it in the freezer to harden. And now I could give these away just as edible chocolate-covered pretzels. That's art too, right? But let's say we want to get a little bit more healthy. Did you know that? You obviously know that there's fruit art because we've done it with the butterflies, right? There's also vegetable art. Oh my gosh, if you really Google vegetable art, there are the most amazing things you can make out of vegetables. And if you're a vegetable lover, you can eat your art. You can get make a dip or just use ranch dressing that you have in your refrigerator. And so I went to my refrigerator and I just got out the vegetables I have. Now my vegetable bin is getting really low because we're getting toward the end of the week and it's time for me to go shopping again. But I had enough to be creative and become a vegetable artist. Ready? Look at this guy. Look at him. He's a piece of corn on the cob. He's got tomato eyes. He's got a carrot for his mouth. Pepper arms, broccoli hands, and a little bit of spinach that I love around the bottom just to make him look fancy. And look I wanted to give him a chef hat because I think I'm a chef sometimes, right? And I did a mushroom cap for his hat. This is cooked. So if I want to, I could just get some ranch dressing, pour it on the side, dip all these other pieces in. Then I could warm this in the microwave, put a little butter and salt on it, and eat some corn on the cob. And then I have this awesome cranberry dressing I made that I could drizzle on the bottom and have a little bit of a salad. Now, that is one healthy snack. But boy, doesn't it look more fun to eat it this way? And boy, your moms and dads would be so proud of you if you ate all those vegetables, right? How cool is that? If you're someone who loves raw broccoli, some kids do, pop out those little ice cream cones I have. Remember we used those before when we made the mashed potato ice cream cones? Put yourself some raw broccoli in there, bring yourself a little ranch dip, or pour it on if you want, take it outside, and munch on your broccoli ice cream cone, or any vegetables you like, okay? That's being a vegetable artist. There's so many things. There's an actual vegetable man made with all these different kind of vegetables that would be great if you were having a party. Don't just put a vegetable tray out, turn it into art, and then put some dips alongside with it, and watch your guests freak out when they come in and see your vegetable art. So this is where you're being more creative. I'm not cooking as much this time, I'm just giving you ideas. Maybe you're also having a party and you just want to set the table and you want to put some interesting pieces. This is a lemon with some raspberry eyes and some carrots for ears and a little tomato nose. And I might just use him as a decoration on my table if I was having a party. Or who knows, maybe make a pot of lemonade and throw this whole guy in the middle of it. And people will look in there and be like, what is that in there? And the lemon flavor would actually add some really good flavor to your lemonade, right? So maybe you want to try being a fruit artist that way. Some of you, unfortunately, my strawberries were not looking good. Otherwise, I would have been able to dip them into all these different colors. But when I make chocolate covered strawberries, I just dip the strawberry in and then I drizzled it. You can make chocolate covered strawberries with all these different colors. So now you're putting out a tray of rainbow strawberries. I think that's pretty artistic as well. You could get waffles and you could cut them into shapes. Go online, there's pancake art, there's waffle art, there's vegetable art, there's fruit art for those of you who made all those amazing butterflies, right? There's the art we just did by making the edible chalk. Another fun thing is how many of you love Rice Krispie treats? So like I found these in my pantry. And honestly, right on the side of the box is the Rice Krispie treat recipe. If you want to make them, you need marshmallows, butter, and some Rice Krispies. And it could be any kind. It could be fruity kind. It could be the chocolate ones. You could even use Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles, regular Rice Krispies, the ones that I used for my Kind bars with the little mini marshmallows. Those would work as well. And have mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or some older person help you make them, because you do have to do a little bit of cooking on the stove, and I don't think young children should do that alone. But once you make the Rice Krispie treats, then you can shape them into any shapes you like. I want to show you something I did here. I actually used those, and then I put mine on sticks. This one was a heart, but I tasted it. It was amazing. What I did different with these Rice Krispie treats, here's one that's a star shape, and of course I wrapped it, because who knows if I wanted to give that away. This one I actually made it look like a real ice cream. I shaped that before it hardened. I took those Peeps chicks that I had left over from Easter, because I don't really like them, but I bought them just because I thought they'd be fun to put on the Easter table. And I just melted the Peeps, and I poured these in, and I just wanted to see if it would work. And it does. It worked. But the difference is these are more crispy. And if you use these kind of marshmallows and follow the recipe on the side of the box, these are more chewy. These are more like the regular Rice Krispie treats. Be creative. Figure it out. But I want to show you the back of the box. Look at this. Talk about food art. They're giving you ideas of what to do after you make the Rice Krispie treats by following that recipe. And if you don't happen to have it on your box, again, online, Rice Krispie treat recipe, boom, it pops right up. So There's some great ideas there for being a food artist. I'm sure you could think of other foods you could use to become a food artist, and I would love it if you would share your pictures with me, either on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel or on my email, lgagliardi@npsct.org. That's my teacher email. So if any of you guys want your parents to shoot me a picture of your food art, send it there, and I can then check it out and maybe share it. Here's another mold I used. Look at this. This one I used the same pretzel, and I made some chocolate covered pretzels this way. But that was using a mold, okay? That's using another kind of mold. So again, I'm just giving you ideas because it's Art Week. And I wanted you to be food artists. And I thank Mr. Thomson for taking time out of his busy week to read his story to everyone at Anna Reynolds. And I am certainly going to be running over there with some special food art that I'm making for him. He particularly loves this peanut butter chip cookie that I make, dipped in chocolate. And I usually make them about that size. And then I put them in a baggie and I bring them over. But guess what? I'm making one that's gonna be this big, super pizza sized, and then I'm gonna decorate it maybe with all of his titles of his books on it, and maybe some of the things that are in his books, and then I'm gonna bring it over as a thank you for what he did for me. Maybe I'll show that to you. So I hope you enjoyed our special reader this week. I hope you got some creative ideas about becoming a food artist. If you want to go back and look at some of our other Books and Cooks titles, go back into those links and get those ideas for the pancakes or the mud pie or whatever. And again, until next time, everybody, happy reading and happy cooking. And oh, I miss you. It's just, this is going on way too long, but I promise to stay connected all summer through our Books and Cooks together. Until next time, bye-bye.